What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another My Team Career Mode episode. Today, part 1. This is the first race. This is Bahrain. Right now we're just going to fill up the activity timeline here. Just trying to maximize what we can get. I don't really like sacrificing department morale. So I think, yeah, just a couple of driver training camp just to get Jarno up to speed. And check some emails here. They're not that important, just generic. Here's your system access, welcome to the team, and how some stuff kind of works. Now, this is obviously part 1. If you missed the setup and you want to know kind of what settings...
This is where you can view our current facilities and the effects they're having on the business. You can also invest some of our cash into upgrades for these facilities.
Anyway, after that rude interruption, if you want to watch the part 0, which is essentially the settings that we're going to be running for this this first season, at least this career mode save, then check out part 0 if you haven't already. Came out last week, about 10 minutes long, so it's not too long, but feel free to go check that part out and then come back to this video. We're obviously just going to check what we can do for the development of the car. Good bit of front aero. I don't think there's anything we can do to actually get it before Bahrain, so we're going to start off with the worst car on the grid. And obviously we don't have many resource points to be able to put anything else on in time for the second race, which is Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, I think we're just going to stick the sponsors on the car, which, yeah, just sticking it in a few places that would kind of go with the title sponsor, which is the main sponsor for the season. They're the ones that are giving us all the cash and obviously the gold bonus as well, which is very generous of them. Now, again, I just skipped ahead a lot of time just to try and see if I could squeeze any more upgrades on before the first race weekend. And yeah, here we go. The team's working hard. I think the team colours are pretty good as well, actually. I think the channel colours I used for it works quite nicely. It's not overly popping. I feel like it's somewhat realistic, but you know, I know a lot of teams nowadays do like to run a nice bright colour. But here we are in the seat opposite Jarno. You can just see his head above the monitor there. And yeah, obviously we've got practice 1, 2 and 3 qualifying, and then the race on the full qualifying format and the medium length for these sessions. So I think it's a 35% race at the end, yeah, 20 laps. We're just going to jump into practice and see what we've got going for this car.
The long wait is over. This is it, a brand new season. And before the show gets well and truly underway, we've got the all-important matter of a free practice session. It's great to be back. It's so exciting to be here at a new season. Plenty for the drivers to get their heads around. What will be going through their minds right now?
The faster you can work around the circuit conditions and get the car tailored to your liking, the better, and then you can just focus on the job in hand in terms of lap times. But first of all, you've got to get the car feeling right.
Absolutely. Got to get the car feeling right. Got to get the setup right, which is mainly what we're going to be looking at in this first practice session. I do already have a caveat to this. This was recorded before the handling patch.
Okay, mate, it's Mark here. I just want to say thanks for trusting me as your race engineer. I know we're going to have a good relationship. It's going to be a long season. They're always tough. But if we work together, we can get some solid, good results. The car's ready to go, but it's brand new, so we're going to figure out any teething issues. We've got our eye on the data. You just do what you do behind the wheel.
Exactly. We obviously have some practice programs to run through. And the setup I pulled was obviously from before the handling patch. So again, you can just see us playing around with some of these values. This was one I ran in time trial, so it's going to be very qualifying heavy, but we'll just see what we can do on this first lap. And obviously tyre warm-ups are very different in this year's game. We do have to do a lot of this weaving. We can't just kind of drag the brake, which is where you kind of just leave some pressure on the brakes and then let the brakes warm the tyres up. So you kind of got to get the actual more realistic kind of weaving and driving through the warm-up lap But through this track acclimatization, the car doesn't feel too bad. Obviously, it's on the hards. We do kind of lock up occasionally, just thanks to, I guess, all the suspension changes to this year's kind of handling model, which I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about it. Obviously, from what I've heard, the closer you push to the limit, the harder it is to do, to drive properly and to get a good setup and have the car feeling right. But again, it felt alright when we were driving it in that time trial setup. Obviously, a lot of downforce was provided just from the way that we were running the wings and the ride height and all that good stuff. And yeah, as you can see, we maxed out everything we could from those practice sessions essentially. And a good whopping 1,915 resource points, which we're going to try and spend now. Unfortunately, for the aero, we can't do anything else because we're not even spec 1. Well, yeah, I think we need to be spec 1. Maybe spec 2. I can't remember exactly what spec we're on, but there you go. We've got one upgrade, the aero, if it succeeds, coming for Jeddah, and then a chassis upgrade coming for Australia. And again, we're just running out of points here. But we are going to do, I believe, the pistons initially, or maybe the spark plugs. I can't remember exactly. Let's see. Yeah, pistons it is for the powertrain, for the engine, which should make us a bit better in a straight line, as well as some of the exits of corners.
As the sun goes down, the speeds go up. It's almost time to get underway for this shootout for the fastest time and the best possible grid position for tomorrow's race. Let's get on with it. It's qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Indeed. Q1 it is. We're going out. This is our first lap. I do skip the warm-up laps because, again, it's just going around the track. But here we go. Into the first corner. A tiny lockup, you might have heard it there. And almost a spin. So it's a bit loose and lively, this car, in some places. It's generally in the lower speed that it's a bit loosey-goosey. Like over this crest here, I tend to find it was a bit loose. So I can be a bit cautious on turn 4. And through these high speed sections, again, just not really getting the rotation there in that first apex, but here almost too much rotation, and it's not a great lap so far, but we've got to get something on the timing line, just see how much we're lacking and almost take out that bollard. It's very inconsistent, this car at the moment. Obviously we are the newcomer. We were expecting and we knew we would have some teething issues in terms of how the car is and how it drives and the downforce that we would have, but yeah, it's just, there's something about it that is just on turning. Sometimes there's the rotation, sometimes there isn't, and then on the exits of lower speed we tend to get a little bit of oversteer and instability as we go around. It could be the setup. Again, this was pre-handling patch. I'm not blaming the handling patch, but I don't think at that point we necessarily had a handle on a handle. Good lord. Not sure anyone really had a good idea of what the best setup was for the performance and also for how the cars felt.
We've been pushed down to P22.
And yeah, obviously we just don't have any pace at all. Jarno's in P20 currently. I don't think he's going to get much higher than that. We did find about a 10th in that first corner. The sort of, I think the lockup and slight oversteer moment on the previous lap did take a lot of time out of us, but we kind of lost it again here. Only about half a tenth up, but just look at the amount we gain in the next few corners. Almost 3/10 up as we get into this sort of hairpin at the bottom of the hill before we go even further. 5/10, 6.5, almost 7/10 up as we reach this sort of tight left-hander of turn 10. A little bit of a lockup again, but a good exit down this kind of back straight here. Almost 7.5 up on our previous time. You can see we're trying to maximize the track limits here, just getting our sort of inside tire as close up to the white line as we physically can. 8/10 up here, 8.5 as we go into the high-speed corner. We do almost slide, and we're looking pretty good here for 9/10 up. This is an incredible lap here, especially compared to our first banker that we had in. And now we're over a second. We are losing some time as we run up towards the line. And that sits us nicely into P14. Now, I do think the AI will go faster than that. You can see Esteban Ocon's in P14, but Charles Leclerc takes pole. Fernando Alonso in second, followed by Verstappen and Sainz. Then Russell and Perez and Bottas. What an absolute stonking Q1 into P7. And then obviously the McLaren of Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton, Zhou Guanyu, Norris, Stroll, Albon, Ocon, then ourselves in P15, Tsunoda, and Yano Otme is actually in P22 at the end of that. But you can see it's essentially a fight for the wooden spoon against Haas and arguably a Visa Cash App RB. But there's a few drivers kind of making the difference in that midfield there. So here we go for Q2. I don't know if we're going to do any better than the last lap we did in Q1, in the last one we saw. Again, trying to figure out this car. Where is it good? Where do I need to be cautious? Where can I push it to the limits? And yeah, it's actually, this is the first F1 game I have as I go a little bit deep into turn 4. It's the first F1 game where I haven't been running the racing line. Something I'm pushing myself to do is just make sure I have all the assists off. As we go a little bit wide there, we don't get punished for track limits. I think it must have been slower than it's than you'd normally go around there without abusing track limits. And yeah, just lockups everywhere on this track, and lots of wheel spin out of corners as I'm trying to get the traction just to kind of minimize the loss that we have when we do make those lockups. And it's a pretty good exit there, not only wheel spin, but it is a high speed corner. And let's see how we get on in the last couple of corners here. Again, just a little bit of tyre squeal as we go to turn in. You can probably hear it in the car's audio. Let's see if we hear it in this last corner here. I think we heard it almost in a straight line, to be honest, as well. Don't know if that's just the tyres at the limit. It's a slight lockup, I think, but okay, we are ahead of Ocon once again after that first lap. I think we're just gonna take a look at the times, see where people are placing. Yeah, we're second to last, but everyone else has gone now. As we accelerated time, we are still P14, P15. I didn't see that for a second. P15, there it is. And we're just going to try and accelerate some time. I'm trying to get a handle on exactly what kind of lap time we would need to even approach the top 10, if that's possible. I think I'm just trying to be a bit too ambitious on that one, really. It's just, I think once you get out of Q1 in this car and you kind of get a really good lap, you want to reproduce that.
Checks complete. Everyone be aware, we've got a car leaving the garage.
Obviously, it's much easier said than done. So we're going to go out for one last time in Q2 here with everyone else leaving the pit lane. We're going to head out with them on our new softs. We do have Oscar Piastri. Is it Piastri right behind us? I believe it is. Just checking the tyres here. We've got to make sure they're up nice and warm. We've got Hamilton just ahead of us. I'm thinking I might let Piastri go here as I'm trying to get some temperature in the tyres. So we'll probably do some weaving down here. But Hamilton is looking quite slow there. I almost run into the back of him, and Oscar Piastri does the unthinkable. He is out of the session. He is out of Q2. He already has a time on the board, crucially. But I just checked the replays here. You can see in this moment Hamilton jerks to the right, which kind of makes me kind of jerk out to the right as well. As I'm changing my settings, I'm not looking at my wheel, and then Piastri kind of just torpedoes the back of Hamilton. I don't know if something happened in practice that upset Piastri, but he was clearly out to damage that Mercedes there, and I think he got a grid penalty because of it. You can see no lockup into turn 1 that time, but we just didn't really get the exit until now. We're a tenth and a half up, 2 tenths after the first couple of turns. Into turn 4, can we do anything here? We're trying to push. We do go a little bit deep, and the car just gets away from us, and that was the...
And that's just 30 seconds left.
Yeah, 30 seconds left in the session. That was our last chance to improve, and unfortunately we are out. You can see there, actually, Hamilton gets the grid position penalty for that incident with Oscar Piastri. I'm not sure how the stewards came up with that. Potentially it was Hamilton going far too slowly. I'm not certain. But there you go, Piastri into P11. He did go out, but his time was obviously good enough just to secure what used to be the strategic pole, and we're down there just in P16 there, and there you go. Grid penalty for Hamilton for that collision with Piastri. I'm assuming the stewards felt that way because Hamilton was going unusually slow.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. We go racing today around the 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit, with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Perez, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Stroll, Albon, Oscar Piastri, Hamilton, Bottas, Joe, Tsunoda, Ocon, Brown, Sargent, Gasly, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, the owner driver, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And alongside me today is a man who needs no introduction, but I'll try anyway. It's Ant Davidson. Now, it's a new season, plenty of new opportunities, but I think I'm going to start with a question we may have asked last year as well. Can anyone stop Max Verstappen?
That's what they're hoping for. And that's what we're hoping for as well in some ways, because we don't want to see just one driver or one team running away with it this season like we had last year or even the years gone by in this sport. Can we get to see a two-way or even a 3- or 4-way fight throughout this race today? Fingers crossed we'll get that.
Absolutely, fingers crossed. But yeah, I think going back to that penalty, I think the stewards judged that Hamilton was going far too slowly on his outlap. Potentially spooked a bit by myself, but again, Hamilton should not be on the racing line going that slowly. But here we are, just trying to decide the race strategy here. I'm not certain we can survive sticking with the AI on hards at the start. We are kind of looking at the different options here. Can we go softs at the end just to give us some pace over the AI? I'm not entirely certain what strategy the AI would be doing. I would assume medium hard. It seems to be the way to go here. So I think we're just going to revert back to medium hard as well. Get some good grip, potentially make up some positions in the first few laps, and then hope and pray we can hold on to those positions and see what we can do on the hard. Maybe we can overcut some people if we have the DRS of faster cars around us. We'll kind of wait and see on this. But here we go. Time for the race start. Obviously got to maximize the RPM. The lights are on. Now they're out, and we get a great launch compared to Ocon next to us. We're trying to go up the inside of Tsunoda. He covers that off, so we'll go to the outside. There's 2 cars to our outside as well, but we launch it down the inside and just sneak a wheel up the inside of Piastri and get a bit out of shape on the exit. Again, we hit that curb heavily on the inside, and I think that just unsettled the car a lot, and we've lost a lot of time. But we are up to P12 after the first couple of corners, trying to get ourselves onto the back of Albon. We do have Bottas as well on the softs directly behind us, so hopefully he won't try and attack us too much, just purely so we can try and catch up to the back of these cars, which we have done, thanks to everyone kind of checking up a bit, backing up, just trying to get everyone in an order here and trying not to lock up too much and save these tyres a little bit for later in the race. As you can see, Bottas is all over our rear end here. We do have to use a bit of battery and go a little bit defensive as we go into turn 11 just there. Again, trying to get the drive out of the corner, but even compared to the Williams of Alex Albon, we seem to be just lacking something here. I don't know if it's aero, I don't know if it's engine. It might even be the weight of the car at this stage. We don't have anything in fuel efficiency upgrades or anything at all. This is a brand new car as a newcomer to the sport. We go a little bit deep into this corner. I think Bottas might get the jump on us here. We've only got 35% battery left, 33, and obviously DRS is coming. We have lost DRS to Albon. I think we're going to just let Bottas go to get the DRS, push him a little bit wide, and try and use that to our advantage to get back into range of Albon. But Bottas is still right with us. Here's a replay of the start, just so you can kind of see what happened. So we did have a good start there. Should be somewhere on the left side of the screen. As we go down the inside, you can just see us there. Look how many positions we kind of jumped ahead of. But the speed that the other drivers can carry around the outside was just far superior to us kind of clumsily, I have to say, diving over that curb. And just look at the split in the pack already, just purely from us not being able to put the power down after that first corner. And as we kind of snake down the hill, again, you can just see us here. We just reconnect with the train nicely. But again, we just don't have the pace to stick with these guys near the top 10. And here we go. Kind of carrying on. This is the end of lap 2. So Bottas is still right with us. We kind of let him go again to try and get the DRS. We almost spin the car off that inside curb, which is something I did a lot in practice that you guys didn't really see. But I don't think this car can handle the curves too well. And there goes Hamilton. And all the other cars are just absolutely swarming us with DRS. We're almost 3 wide going into the first corner. And can we dare send it back up the inside of Tsunoda? We do. We try not to get too much on the curb, but again, the drive that Visa Cash App RB car has from the corners, we just can't match it. And even the Alpine's coming up the inside now. We are dropping positions. Again, we don't deserve to be here by any stretch. We should be at the back fighting for the wooden spoon, but we've got to let Ocon go. Again, as we kind of slalom down the hill, we go a little bit wide over that curb as we're just trying to keep the pace up. And I think right now we've lost our rhythm. We haven't been able to find it in this race yet. It's just been going backwards, making mistakes like that. And we need to just settle down, calm down, try not to get too absorbed in the fight. And we've actually skipped ahead now to lap 5 as Gasly is all over the back of us. We've completely lost touch of Tsunoda and Ocon up the road. They are 3, almost 4 seconds up the road now. And yeah, we've kind of got our own little pack at the back of this kind of race at the moment. I think Jarno's in P21 at the moment. As Gasly's going down the outside, trying to squeeze it to the inside again over that curb. Trying cautiously put the throttle down. And again, he's just more straight line speed. We went the wrong way with setup this weekend. We went too far down the way of getting good aero, high wing levels for those corners in sort of the middle sector in sector 2, but it's just killing us on the straight. We don't have any good pace in this race, and again you can immediately see we've lost touch to Gasly and Hülkenberg. Now Ricciardo's giving it a go. He's on the hards, and look at that. Immediately gets past us. We don't have DRS. Ricciardo's there now. Sargent's coming down the inside, trying to hold it around the outside, but there's just not much grip here. We do somehow get the power down. Potentially Sargent's softs are dropping away a lot, but also we're really struggling to keep this car straight and going in the direction that we want it to right now. Whether it's tyre wear or setup or just the car itself, we just don't have the pace. Even Ricciardo in that car on hards, after 7 laps, he has better pace. And yeah, Sargent gave it a go there. We held him pretty tight to the inside, I think, especially on the exit, and we just kind of squeeze him out there. But you can see we're now in, what's that, P19? Jarno's P21. Yeah, P19. And we just don't have anything we can do. And on to lap 10, everyone else is boxed, except for Ricciardo and who else is that up the road there? Maybe Sonoda? Unless that's the actual leader. All the way up the road, just turning into the long left-hander and the long right-hander of Sector 2 as we lock up. We go deep. Norris is desperately trying to get past us. He wants to be away from Sainz, potentially use us as a bit of a roadblock. And Norris just tries to go a bit around the outside. We kind of squeeze him out a little bit, try not to go too deep. But right now, everyone else is boxed. We're losing time massively. We actually go hugely off the track. Potentially an unsafe rejoin there for us. Trying to squeeze Norris out, just try and buy as much time. Maybe hoping for a safety car as well at the moment. As you can see how crazy it is behind us. As the Red Bull and the McLaren almost making it 3 wide with the Ferrari there into that final turn. Look at, we are holding everybody up. Look at that. But now we're going to get absolutely swarmed by the whole grid here. 3 wide in front. We've got Perez to our left. We try and hold it. Little bit of contact there. Even more contact up ahead as well. And yeah, we're burning through our tyres. Trying to see if we can actually, maybe not overcut, but have much fresher hards from when we box till the end of the race and see if we can potentially make up some positions there. But I think we've potentially just stayed out too long. You can see the difference in tyre wear of the front left and the front right tyre there. It was at 62% on the front left tyre. And we do actually pit at the end of that lap. We stick on the hards. Decent pit stop from the guys. Yeah, 2.4 seconds. You've got to be happy with that. But we are dead last. We've stayed out far too long in this race. There was no safety car in the end. We've got 8 laps left of this race. The tyres are going to be cold. We're going to not be used to the grip of these hards. We're not going to be used to anything really. And again, we're just going to try and do our best here to try and catch back up, but we're 17 seconds behind. This is an absolutely abysmal first weekend. You can just see as soon as we hit the curbs, any slightly high curbs, the car wants to step away from us. It's really strange because some curbs we can ride them. Some curbs we just can't. But there was absolutely nothing happening since the lap that we boxed to now. You can still see we don't have any grip on these tyres. So I think we're going to box the end of this lap. We're going to bolt on the soft compound tyres, and we're going to try and get fastest lap, which I know is an absolute long shot, but we have absolutely nothing to lose. We're already last. We can't catch up. There's no chance of a safety car. No one's retired. The Ferrari is running away, and the team has, if anything, just had a break for too long really and just not fit the tyres there. But we do get out ahead of that Ferrari, as you can see on the minimap in the bottom left, and that is the leader. So hopefully we don't get blue flagged as we try to make this fastest lap attempt. We're trying to bring these tyres in slowly, charge the battery. We're at 100%, but we don't want to drain it at all before we kind of get to start our lap here. We are putting it in hot lap, but we will be using the overtake button as well. And here we go. Ferrari wins. Ferrari 1-2 actually. Carlos Sainz leading the race right until the end there. Charles Leclerc and then a Red Bull in third. We'll go through the full standings at the end. We are setting personal best. We do go a bit deep in turn 10 there. I don't think we're locking up too badly, which is good for us. There was a little bit of a lock up there. Personal best in the middle sector as well. But I don't think it's enough. I think this car is just far too slow. But that was the race.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in part
Potentially, the AI difficulty was a bit too high. I think it was on 103 for qualifying, and I think we left that for the race. Clearly our qualifying lap was immense.
That's a fantastic team effort then to secure victory here in the desert.
It's always great to kick off the season with a race victory. You hit the ground running, and it's really good for your confidence as well moving forward. It's so important to set off on the right footing, and that's exactly what they've been able to achieve today.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So there you go. Carlos Sainz wins first place. In second we have Charles Leclerc, and third we have Max Verstappen. Let's say that properly this time. A decent race for those guys up front. For us, we did an immense qualifying lap to get us into Q2, but then I think the race pace was just not there. Again, we set up for qualifying, not for the race.
It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action, and I can't wait to see what's next.
And there you have it. Sainz leading Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez, Russell, Piastri, Alonso, Stroll, Albon, Zhou Guanyu, Bottas, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Ocon, Magnussen, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Ricciardo, Jarno, I'm forgetting who else there was, Hulkenberg, and then myself. Again, AI difficulty a little bit too high. The setup, set for qualifying, absolutely zero pace in the race. We're probably going to go into Jeddah. Not very confident, but we'll have to find out how that happens next week.